The stage is suddenly filled with activity, and upbeat music breaks in. Lorraine exits. The stage management of Brian's play, Dark Heritage, hurry on and strike the furniture. Exit signs light up, and we realize that we are on an empty West End stage. The stage manager, Harry Thornton, and assistant stage managers, Beryl Fletcher and Bob Deacon, position a long trestle table in the center of the stage and place chairs around it. A large armchair goes at the head of the table, obviously a tribute to Lorraine's star status. On the table are pencils, teacups, plates of biscuits, ashtrays, etc. There is a smaller prompt table on which there is a pile of typewritten parts bound in doping paper. Brian, clutching his script, wanders over to a vacant chair, sits down, lights a cigarette, and jots down some more notes in his book. The music fades. 4 cast members have arrived. Eric Larch, good-looking in his late 20s, Marion Blake, Gerald Wentworth, and Laura Whitby, all in their 50s. Eric is chatting to Laura over coffee. Marion is sitting at the table, energetically marking up her script with various pens, pencils, and rubber. She is slightly overmade up and sports an ostrich feather toque. I don't know what that is. Gerald, the distinguished leading man, is reading the Daily Telegraph. Ray Malcolm strides in. Ta-da! The atmosphere, which was already tense, becomes so charged that one almost expects the stage management to hand out oxygen masks. Following in Ray's slipstream is Tony Orford, his assistant and partner. Tony, who is slightly younger than Ray, has a sharp eye and an even sharper tongue. He is wearing a camel haircut and suede shoes. Brian gets up eagerly to greet Ray, who ignores him and walks straight over to his stage manager. Tony spots this and grasps Brian's hand. Do we need a Tony and a Marion? Maria, who would you like to play? Hello? Nylas, you want to... Mario, do you want to play Marion?
Sure, why not?
All right, Nylas, you want to take Tony?
Yeah, I can take Tony.
Groovy.
Okay. You're Brian, aren't you? Ray's talked about you so much I've been possibly counting the minutes. It's a great day for you. Ain't it a terrible tiz?
No, not at all. I'm just...
Tony! Hello! I saw you sitting there and I wasn't sure, but if nobody is going to introduce us, I shall have to introduce myself. I'm Marion Blake, or should I say Stella. And congratulations, I just think the play has got everything, but everything.
Thank...
I don't believe I've been so excited about a script since I first read Love Child, and heaven knows I was right about that.
Love Child was my unfavorite play of all time.
Be that as it may, Tony, it ran 2 solid years and we never dropped, even during the election. Isn't he horrid? He's always doing that to me, so damping.
Ray wraps his pencil on the table. There is a general movement towards the chairs. Beryl and Bob distribute the parts, and Ray motions to Brian to come and sit next to him. Brian does so with a thrill of pride.
Is everybody ready to begin? I know that Miss Barry isn't here yet, but we can start without her, as she isn't in the first scene. Firstly, I should like to welcome you all and say how glad I am that we're to work together. For those I haven't met, my name is Ray Malcolm. May I also introduce Tony Orford, my personal assistant, and of course our author, Brian Snow. I'll try to do a clap sound effect, but
Yay!
Anyone who was lucky enough to catch Mr. Snow's previous play, The Unconquered, at the Bayswater Theatre Club will know about the raw power of his writing. But in Dark Heritage, there's no doubt that he really has created something very special.
I can do Gerald.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt. Gerald Wentworth.
I am proud to be directing it, and I hope for our author, and indeed for all of our sakes, that we make a terrific success of it.
Here.
Hey.
Hooray.
What I'd like to do this morning is just to have a gentle canter through the play. I'll dispense with reading the detailed description of the set, because that's awfully boring. Enough to say that the whole action of the play takes place in Eleanor Marshall's villa in the south of France. When the curtain rises, it is late afternoon. Stella and Aubrey enter. They are wearing bathrobes over their bathing things. Thank you, Marion.
I'm absolutely exhausted. That last drag up the hill.
Sorry to stop you, Marion Love, but I've been given this part here. I just soon read from my script if that will be all right with you, Ray.
Yes, of course.
Right-ho. Sorry.
From the beginning again, Marion. Thank you.
I'm absolutely exhausted. That last drag up the hill always seems much longer than I think it's going to be.
Nyla, step up on Eric, if you would.
Where's Eleanor? She's usually home by this time.
She went into Is to see Roberto.
Easy, I think.
Sorry, Easy. She's usually. She went into Easy to see Roberto. Okay. She went into Easy to see Roberto. Right. Poor Eleanor. I can't help feeling sorry for her. She's so vulnerable. I'm not sure women ought to go on being vulnerable after 40. It diminishes them.
To me, Eleanor is ageless. I can't imagine her ever growing old.
At this moment, there's a slight commotion in the passage leading to the stage and the sound of a dog barking. A swing door with silence painted on it in large white letters bursts open, and Lorraine comes on at a run. She is simply dressed in a neat blue tailor-made suit and a small hat. A fur cape hangs from her shoulders, and she is hugging to herself 3 parcels, a big scarlet handbag, a rolled umbrella, the script, and Bothwell.
Bark, bark.
This is quite definitely the worst entrance I've ever made. I know I'm late, and I'm bitterly ashamed. Please, will you all forgive me?
Bark, bark.
Everyone has stood up, and Marianne, emitting shrill noises, rushes across and hugs her emotionally as though she has just been rescued from a foundering liner. In the process, Marianne's hat gets knocked to one side, giving her a slightly debauched look.
Bark, bark.
Marianne, dear, how lovely to see you. How was your motor trip to Spain? I want to hear all about it at lunch. Harry, be an angel and take Bothwell into the property room and tie him up to something heavy. How about a script of the play? I had to bring him to rehearsal because he was so wretched when he thought I was going to leave him behind. His poor little tail drooped like a weeping willow.
Will he be all right in the prop room?
Of course, he adores prop rooms. They're a second home to him. Goodbye, my angel pie.
Bark, bark.
Ray. Dear Ray Malcolm, promise you're not angry with me.
Of course not, Lorraine. We've only just made a start on the first scene.
Good morning, everybody. Gerald, darling, and all the excitement, I didn't see you there. How's my Hilda?
As well as can be expected. Bless you for asking, Lorraine.
My heart aches every time I think of her. Good morning, dear author. This is all wildly exciting, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
The armchair's for you, Lorraine. Harry rooted it out from somewhere or other specifically.
Oh, I couldn't, darling. Really, I couldn't. Once I sank into that, I should go into a deep, deep sleep. Marian must have it. Take the comfy chair, Marian.
No. I'm perfectly happy where I am.
Nonsense. I insist.
Oh. Very well.
Marian is forced to get up and walk the length of the table with all eyes on her. She sinks down into the deep armchair and is now at least 2 feet lower than everyone else. Covered with embarrassment, she opens her script. Are we starting from the beginning or from my first entrance?
From the beginning.
Lovely, darling. It gives me time for a ciggy.
All right, is everybody ready? Off you go again, Marian.
I'm absolutely exhausted. That last drag up the hill always seems much longer than I think it's going to be.
Where's Eleanor? She's usually home by this time.
She went into Ease to see Roberto.
Yes, easy, I think.
So sorry, Easy. Was that so very wrong? Why should there be one rule for you and another for me? I love him, Eleanor. It's true. I love him with every fiber of my being.
And does he love you?
Yes, he loves me very much. There, I've said it. Of course, the fishing trip was a mere subterfuge. Don't look at me like that, Ellie. I refuse to feel guilty. In fact, I feel strangely lightheaded.
During the course of her speech, Marian is so carried away that she gets up, script in hand, and stands defiant, acting her heart out. Everyone else looks on, some concealing their horror better than others. The lights change and the music fades in again. When the lights come back up, it indicate time has passed. Marian has sat down again, and we find that we are now at the end of the play. The company has changed their position. Some have slouched, some are sitting forward intently, several are smoking.
I neither believe nor disbelieve, Stella. With every instinct I have, I know.
But she had so much to live for. It all seems so futile.
It was deliberate.
Mortimer, don't. She sells uncontrollably. She makes. Oops, that's a stage direction. What a clot. Mortimer, don't.
Please, Stella, there's nothing to be gained by continuing this agonizing post-mortem. What's done is done. Poor Eleanor was marked for tragedy. I sensed it the first moment I saw her. Her destiny was in her eyes.
It was you and I who implemented that destiny. It was we who betrayed her.
For God's sake, Stella, be quiet. Do you think I can ever forgive myself for driving her away? We are all responsible for our actions, and we must live with their consequences. Go now, please, go. Leave me alone in my shame.
You will never be alone again, Mortimer. There'll be a ghost haunting your desolate years until the last moment of your life.
Go away! Go away! Go away!
Slow curtain.
You have written a beautiful play, my dear. You should be very proud.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well done. Well done. Clap, 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 clap.
Clap, clap.
Bark, bark.
That last scene, it's unbearable. Quite unbearable. It tears me to shreds. No acting required.
It's a remarkable piece of writing, and I really don't think it would be fanciful to describe it as Chekhov à la Anglaise. Just occasionally, I think you'll all have to work to harness the passion, though. Don't forget that these characters are English, and the more you control the emotional temperature, the greater the impact on the audience. For example, Marion, you simply can't play the whole of Act 3 at that pitch.
Darling, it was only a read-through. I think you've got to allow us a bit of license on the first day.
Thank you, Lorraine. So do please, all of you, remember that less can sometimes be more. We'll take an hour's break for now. Stage management can set the furniture, then we can start plotting Act 1 straight after lunch. Everybody back at 2:30, please.
May I just say thank you? I thought you all read wonderfully.
Everyone smiles and gets up to leave. During the following dialogue, Harry, Beryl, and Bob move the table and chairs upstage and set the furniture for the afternoon rehearsal. The dialogue takes place downstage while the furniture is set. Moreau is typing something. Do you want to say something? Okay. No, I thought, do you want to say, I will not be able to focus if I think you're typing. I'll look away.
No.
Do stop snuffling, Marion. There's a love. Your eyes will be bright red and you'll wear yourself out.
I can't help it. That last scene really unsettles me.
Well, you've made your point, dear. Now is the time for all good men and true to buckle their armor and get on with the job.
Lorraine, would you give me the pleasure of taking you to lunch?
I'd love that. Harry, be an angel and fetch poor Bothwell. Ray, while we're waiting, I must just have a teeny-weeny word. I think Nylos is...
So you've been through your baptism of fire. How do you feel?
Fine. I thought it went awfully well.
Oh, it'll be splendid. It's a terrific script.
Thank you. How long have you been Ray's assistant?
Oh, how charmingly euphemistic. 11 years, man and boy. Where are you going for lunch?
I hadn't really thought. I can't say I'm terribly hungry.
Well, I've brought sandwiches. I made far too many. Can I load some onto you?
That's very kind, thank you.
You've been Mother's sweetheart angel pie. That's what you've been. A shining example to every other four-footed angel pie in the profession.
Bark, bark.
I'll just leave you boys to talk for a moment while we nip outside for a quick pee-pee.
Brian, I need to put a thought in your head. It's the ending.
What's the matter with it?
Hearing it read this morning, it didn't quite convince. And I have to say, it is very reminiscent of The Green Hat.
I've never read The Green Hat.
It doesn't matter if you've read it or not. Your heroine decides to end it all by crashing a speedboat into a lighthouse at 50 miles an hour. The Green Hat, it's a motor car in an oak tree.
It's a little late to start making major alterations now. She's got to commit suicide somehow, hasn't she? It's the climax of the whole play.
Of course she has. Don't get upset. I've got loads of ideas, masses of suggestions, but look, I better not go into them now. Just mull it over. And Marion will have to go. I should never have agreed to that. I don't mind her doing Manchester, but we're not opening in London where they're playing Stella. Don't worry, I'll sort it out. I think Carol Wilde's still available.
Carol Wilde?
Good idea, isn't it?
Lorraine, ready for the off. Household.
Oh no, that's me.
Ah, fuck. Lorraine reappears with
Just
Bothwell.
stage directions.
Lorraine, ready
She
for the
sobs
off? How's your
uncontrollably.
Bothwell? Lorraine, ready for the off? How's old Bothwell?
All done and dusted. Have you had a word with Brian?
Yes, indeed. Now,
You hate me, don't you? I mean, for putting a spanner in the works.
Pardon?
I just knew, hearing the scene out loud, that somehow or other she wouldn't do it. I don't know why or how, but it didn't ring true to me. She didn't ring true. It was, how can I put it? Contrived, that's the word, contrived. How you must curse the day I was born. Yes, my angel pie, we really are going out now, so say goodbye to our brilliant author. Bye-bye, brilliant author. Let's go out to the Ivy Treasury, because everyone we know will be there, and they'll Twitter at us, and maybe
Whatever you
Mastodon,
like.
too.
whatever you like.
What about Poggioli's?
Where's that?
Dean Street. Nothing but spaghetti, breadsticks, and lethal Chianti, but at least it's quiet. You mentioned the Green Hat, didn't you?
Yes.
Good. Only we mustn't be seen to be pinching ideas. The critics will be on to it in a flash. Come along.
That's outrageous. I don't know anything about the wretched Green Hat. Besides, I did write this play, and I know the characters in it, what they would do, what they wouldn't do, because I created them. Nobody else did. I did. Everyone read the play and approved it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be standing here now. And yet, suddenly they decide after a first read through that no, actually, they don't like it after all.
Balls. They love it, so they bloody well should. Come and have a coffee. And believe me, they wouldn't be wasting their time on it if they didn't feel it had an excellent chance of success. Unfortunately, the fact is, although Ray has genius as a director, he's really a frustrated writer. He would give his eye teeth to write one page of creative dialogue, but he can't. What's more, he knows he can't, because writing is a gift. Either you have it or you don't. But when the rain got him just now at the end of the play, that gave him an excuse to jump in with both feet. Go on, dig in.
Thanks.
Just remember, that's your play and nobody else's. Do you have a personal assistant, Brian?
This is only my second play. Well, what would I do with one? What was Ray saying about Marion? He mustn't sack her. With a bit of rehearsal, she'll be all right, won't she?
Sweet God, Brian, she's terrible.
Just rather nervous, I expect.
No, I'll be honest with you. Before today, I thought I'd give her the benefit of the doubt, but I'm sorry. After this morning's death-dealing display, after that vomit-making welter of gurgles and cooings, that soul-destroying archness, that hideous protracted agony of boredom, now, oh baby, I'm glad she's going to get the chop. Glad. And what's more, I hope she suffers and remains out of work and in dire poverty for 17 and a half years.
Sorry.
Right. I tell you who won't be quite so pleased though, and that's Lorraine.
I'll say. Oh, luckily Ray has the right to fire anyone he likes. But even so, I can't wait to see how Madame chooses to retaliate. I should think she's capable of inflicting torture that would make the Marquis de Sade sob with envy.
Oh dear, what do you think she'll do?
Not possessing the gift of clairvoyance, I am unable to tell you what she will do or how and when she will do it, but I'd certainly suggest that you tighten your safety belt and prepare for a crash landing.
Oh,
Talking of La Belle Lorraine, I wonder how she's getting on.
hmm?
I saw a glint in the maestro's eye. He generally waits a day or two until he's sure of his ground, but I suspect he's going to start working her right away.
What do you mean start work on her?
Oh, he'll be using his little lunch to drop the battle lines. First of all, he'll get her with her back to the wall on a red plush banquet, and then, when they've downed the inevitable spaghetti and they're lingering over a coffee, when the atmosphere is cozy, informal, nauseatingly friendly, he will proceed methodically to tear the liver and lights out of her.
That's awful. She didn't mean to be unkind just now.
Oh no, it's nothing to do with that.
Then what's the matter? She read well enough for a first go.
Oh, you poor innocent dreamer. I don't know whether to slap you or kiss you.
Please don't do either until I've finished my sandwich, please.
All right. Can you smell that coffee? Heaven with the gate shut. You know, I always leave here feeling wanted and needed and just a tiny bit pampered. Simple peasant fare as it may be, but how preferable that is to fussy food and foolish folk. Never, until the grave closes over me, will I go to the Caprice again. I was there last night, and my dear, the world and his boyfriend were there. The strain was too much. I left utterly worn out.
I must say, I only eat out these days when I really have to. I'm so much happier stopping home with a good book and a little something on a tray.
I have a sneaking suspicion, Ray, that we are going to be soulmates, you and I. I have a very good feeling for these things, and you know, I'm sitting here, rather pleased with myself, rather smug, because, clever old me, I found myself a play that I adore, a very sympathetic leading man, isn't he a lamb, and a director who is not only brilliantly talented, but extremely charming to boot. So I would say, correct me if I'm wrong, that God's in his heaven and all's tickety-boo with the world.
I'm sorry, Lorraine, but I don't think I can allow you a monopoly on good fortune. I'm doing quite nicely too, I'll have you know. You see, I was listening to you earlier, and the way you homed in on the weaknesses in our final scene, back in the rehearsal room, I mean.
Yes, my love.
Well, that reminded me, God, as if I needed reminding, that you really do possess the most uncanny actor's instinct.
Really? Oh, I just...
No, Lorraine, you don't need to tell me. You don't need me to tell you that. The simple fact is that you know what you're talking about. And I was thinking, not only that I'm lucky enough to be directing you, but that I'd sooner have your thoughts on a new play than almost anyone else I know.
I've been around a long time.
Yes, but it's more than that. Intellectual acumen is all well and good, but when it's allied to split-second timing, to a quite extraordinary physicality, to a gift for expressing, without apparent effort, the subtle nuances of either comedy or tragedy, then one's talking about something, well, something unique. I'm not saying I've always felt that your material was worthy of your talent. I'd be lying if I did. And we don't need to lie to one another. But you're talking to a man who saw The Cup That Cheers.
Oh, did you have to spoil my lunch?
But even in that, you managed to endow a, frankly, turgid, dishonest play with a heart-stopping, luminous truth.
Jimmy was very clever with that, of course.
In a way, haven't you hit on something there?
Beg pardon?
Well, you see, my contention is that you haven't always been best served by your directors. Yes, Jimmy was marvelous. Jimmy was absolutely marvelous. But how long ago did he pass away?
Poor darling.
Since then, well, I'm just trying to think what you've done. There was that thing Scott Gurney directed, but with the best will in the world.
No, darling, you're quite right. It was a moldy script from word go. But with that red-faced, drunken little butcher in charge, we didn't stand a chance. No, it's true. I have felt bereft.
That's very interesting.
Yes?
I just always think that people become trickier when they're unhappy.
I'm sorry?
Well, No, maybe you'd rather not discuss it. But I do think, and yes, we can be honest with each other, I just do think it's a shame that your reputation has been tarnished in the last few years, at least within the profession, by one or two unfortunate stories. I'm talking now about gossip, of course, and who's to believe what people say anyway? But I was, I'll confess it, saddened by your late arrival at rehearsal today.
I thought I'd explained about the.
Sorry, can I just finish? You see, what happened there showed a lack of respect not just to me, and obviously that's not a problem, but also to the company, and particularly to Brian Snow, whose first commercial play this is. I think we've got to be a wee bit careful about these things.
I.
No, I don't want to dwell on all that. Let's talk about the play, which is much more important. Let's have a look at the central role, Eleanor. This is a part that's going to take you into a new area, an area that I think could be very exciting for you and for your audience. Having said that, there's one thing that concerns me a little. What you were giving me in the read through was extremely deft, all very expert, but you were allowing one or two mannerisms, little technical tricks everyone has, to obscure the essential truth of the writing. There's a wonderful core of simplicity to Brian's work. And what I was getting from you this morning, and from some of the others too, to a lesser extent, was a finesse, a theatrical polish, a coyness here, an archness there, that is completely and utterly out of place. Now, the only reason I've said all this is that I sincerely believe you to be a great, great actress. And I am determined that you find your performance as Eleanor Marshall will be the finest achievement of what it is by any standards. A dazzling career.
Thank you, Ray.
I also know that you're a professional, and that, like me, you want to get it right. You get satisfaction not from the blandishments of Fleet Street hacks, but from a job well done. We'd better get back. You'll be accusing me of bad timekeeping.
I've loved that scene so much. They both stand Lorraine a bit unsteadily. Ray goes round and helps her up, kissing her tenderly on the cheek. Tony, in waiter mode, helps her on with the cape which he'd placed on the back of her chair. Lorraine takes Ray's arm and they leave the stage. The lights come up.
And off they'll go, arm in arm, just as they came in, but with one major difference. Lorraine's inner security will be shattered. She'll be fussed and bewildered and considerably more pliable. The results will be discernible on a clear day during the second week of rehearsal.
But why does he need to assert himself over her? Why take it for granted that she's going to be tiresome? It's also cynical. You drop dead from shock, wouldn't you, if we got through this whole production without a single argument?
I certainly would, but before I breathe my last, I take the trouble to write you a cheque for £1,000.
Is that a bet?
No, but it's a promise.
Suddenly, the swing door opens and Ray comes in, followed by Marion, Gerald, Eric, Laura, and the stage management team, all back from lunch. He walks straight over to Tony and Brian while everyone prepares to start the afternoon rehearsal.
Go and say to Lorraine, would you? Tony, she's a bit down in the dumps. I think she's powdering her nose. Tell her I won't need her for at least a half an hour.
I go, look how I go, swifter than an arrow from Raymond's bow.
Would this be a good moment to have a word about the rewrite?
No, I need to get on with the rehearsal. It's probably best if you cut along now, Brian.
I was hoping to stay.
No, the actors get jumpy if the writer's always in the room. Don't worry about the ending. I won't touch Act 3 until next week. That'll give us some breathing space. But I'd like you to come down to the cottage at the weekend. We can hash it all over then, yes?
Thank you, Ray. I'd love that.
Good. Small suitcase, no dinner clothes, just ourselves.
That'd be wonderful.
You know, Brian, working with you is a real delight. Right, are we all ready? We'll start from the beginning. Marion and Eric, if you could enter stage right through the door here.
I found this on a rail, and I thought it might do, just for now, as my bathrobe. What do you think?
Fine.
Or does it just look silly?
I won't lie to you, Marion. It looks absurd, but I'm really not too bothered about that at the moment. Just go over there with Eric.
Right. Sorry to be a nuisance. And can we pretend this is a towel?
We can try.
Make a start then, shall we?
If you'd be so kind.
I'm absolutely exhausted. That last drag up the hill always seems much longer than I think it's going to be.
Where's Eleanor? She's usually home by this time.
She went into Easy to see Roberto.
Hooray! She got
Way!
it.
Woo!
Bravo.
I'll be honest. When I first saw that first instance of that bit, I was just like, I'm just gonna say it the opposite of how our first line read.
It works.